welcome to Loving the Planets for the week of June 11th, 2018. I'm Armand Diaz, back safely in Long Island, New York.
Glad to hear that, Armand. And I'm Margaret Gray, back in Dublin, Ireland, and we're actually having some lovely sunny weather. Now, it's not quite so sunny up in the skies, though, is it? I mean, after last week's Plutonian weather, this week we go into some Uranian weather. So hold on, everybody. And in your relationships, all I can say is like, go easy this week. I mean, what are your thoughts, Armand?
Well, I mean, we have the Sun quincunx Pluto this week on Monday. That's liable to bring up some of the issues of the Venus-Pluto thing that was hot last week. Just sort of putting a little bit more pressure before Venus gets into Leo. Now, isn't it Venus gets into Leo, and that should be fun. That should be summer parties. Go up on the rooftop, have some drinks, and this should be a good time. It should be romantic and fun. A little Shakespeare in the park or something like that. I never go to Shakespeare in the park. Don't get me wrong.
I was thinking,
but
really? Yeah, they do. Probably more in England. Yeah.
Well, even in Central Park here in New York, they have a Shakespeare.
Oh, okay.
You have to stand online for hours. Anyway, I'm not a big line stander. Anyway,
no.
The thing is, she gets into Leo, which should be fun, and the first thing that happens is, boom, a square to Uranus in Taurus. And I feel that could be the point of ignition for the tensions that have been simmering since last week.
That's so true, because we've really been sitting on a lot. And so for anybody in a relationship, in an intimate relationship, I think there's been, that feeling of maybe, there could be things like jealousy that have come up, or concerns, or secrets coming up to light, things that have been hidden. And then this week, as you say, they come to the surface. Now, also before this second and last Venus square Uranus, we need to keep in mind that Venus is going to be at 29 degrees Cancer. And that's always kind of a critical degree, and particularly in Cancer, which is very sensitive. And that's going to coincide with the new moon in Gemini on Tuesday. Now, technically, the new moon in Gemini is quite lighthearted, and it's certainly nice for friendships. But my feeling is that because of that Venus at 29 Cancer, there could be a lot of sensitivities in relationships, so that even though we appear to, be playing and having a good time, underneath it all, there may be some kind of feelings that feel a little hurt.
Yeah, it is a very sensitive position for Venus, and one which tends to react by kind of drawing inwards. It's a sort of conservative, traditional type of approach. It is very different from the sort of lighthearted Gemini new moon. Although, yeah, and it's a new moon too, so that energy is drawn inwards as well. So it's a time of a little bit of a reflective time, even if it is a light time. But then Venus jumps into Leo and squares Uranus, and that's tough. That happens on Thursday.
It is Thursday, which kind of, I think we never know with Uranus. We always say this, but when it squares the planet of relationship of Venus, I think what it can do though is to really jolt us in our sense of self-value. Like, where is our sense of self-value and how do we feel? But it can be sometimes a little shocking. So it kind of, it's that awakening, that enlightening, and also something might suddenly come to light in relationships, which we haven't seen before.
This is the first time that Venus is going to be aspecting Uranus, while Uranus, with a major aspect, while Uranus is in the sign of Taurus, and which is Venus's home sign, and Venus is pretty happy in Leo too. So I kind of feel that maybe this is a little bit of an opportunity for us to break out of some ruts, to try things that are a little bit new. Try someone that's a little bit new. And, with the sensuality of Taurus there, I think that there is a little bit of opportunity as well. So maybe, I think if you're in a tough place, this could be a really difficult turning point type of thing. But on the other hand, if you're not in such a tough place, or if you can get yourself out of it, I think it might be actually a good opportunity to, break out of the box a little bit.
That's a really good point, Armand. And particularly, of course, Mercury has gone into Cancer by then, of course, by the middle of the week, the end of the week. The interesting thing is there could be some interesting conversations at the weekend because the Mercury in Cancer is opposite Saturn. So that kind of really, wants us to put something, to verbalize something, to really express something. Now, what I'm slightly concerned about is the Venus trine Chiron, that does may not always feel so comfortable. So I think it's kind of a really mixed weekend in terms of, having fun or going out or enjoying oneself. I mean, when do you think is probably the best time to maybe go on a date or meet some friends, have a nice time?
Oh, well, I would think towards the weekend is probably pretty good. There's some, Mercury is opposite Saturn, which might be a little bit of a delay getting out or something like that, but or some miscommunications. But I think maybe if you can kind of keep it a little bit light and stuff like that when the moon is in Leo, maybe that's a good idea. I think the moon in Cancer is going to bring it up. I think moon in Cancer is in the background for that Venus Chiron trine. Not the easiest energy. As we get in towards the back end of the weekend around Sunday, we're getting very close to a Neptune station. We're only like a day away from it. And at that point in time, things may start to be a little bit more exaggerated for better or worse than they otherwise would be. So we'll talk about that more next week. But I would be a little cautious around that time. It's great for fantasy, for play, for getting lost in things, but it's less good if you're trying to sort of come up with a realistic solution to things.
So quite an interesting week, all in all.
Yep, it's interesting.
See you next week, Armand. Bye bye.
Take care, Margaret. Bye.